So from our last session, we wanted to integrate a teaching tool to help with students remembering or recalling the feedback that they're receiving from, the artwork they did is receiving feedback from students. And a problem that you had mentioned was them not retaining or remembering all of that information because it was just too much, too much at the time. So the goal is for them to take into consideration all the feedback they receive and apply these suggestions to their artwork. So your specific goal was,
if 80% or more are applying or addressing the information that they're given, the feedback, then the goal will be met.
okay, good. All right, so based on us talking about a tool and looking at the different things, I came up with a collaborative tool, which is Google Jamboard.
Yes.
And I think it'll be good because we're a Google school, and it's something that all the kids will have access to.
Okay.
So based on this checklist that I've got, it will help with students recalling because they'll have it's a platform where all the children or students can make notations, and then once everything's been done, you can actually save it as a PDF.
Awesome.
So you'll be able to save that and send it to the student. It's a resource for artists to use when making improvements to their artwork. It pretty much takes the place of note-taking because it can be downloaded. It's collaborative, so it can be accessed anywhere. And another thing that you can do, even though they will visually be looking at the artwork in the class, you also could you could take a picture and download the artwork in Jamboard, and at least they can use it as a reference. You know what I mean? So
awesome.
Just say someone was out or whatever, or if someone needed to make that work up, they could do that. So it can be inserted as a reference. So it really is available anywhere outside the classroom as long as they have some device or Chromebooks, which I know they use the Chromebooks in class sometimes. So based on that, I'm going to do some modeling for you with my class so you can do it. But is there anything else you think about using a platform like that you would maybe make some changes or recommendations before I do it? I know you had mentioned that when we were talking about what tool to use, you said that your students, they use the Chromebook some, but they don't use specific applications. So you were a little bit concerned about them knowing how to use it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I am very unfamiliar with really the Google platform. I know that we're a Google school, but we don't use a whole lot of it in the classroom. So I would need to see it like in action.
Okay.
But sounds awesome.
Okay. So I'll do an intro. I'll model an intro, something fun and easy that the kids can do. So it'll be, easy for you to hopefully look at and then integrate into your classroom. Of course, I'll be there to help you, every step of the way. And then at what time during the class period, or what kind of time frame do you think that you want to use it if I model it?
Like in my classes, what time? I would love to use it like as a bell ringer in the very beginning.
Okay.
For them to just kind of log in, give some feedback.
Okay, so you'll have the artwork up. You'll be, I guess, highlighting an artist maybe as they come in, and it'll be set up. You want it set up where they kind of just go in and immediately start giving feedback. Okay, and is there any certain type of format you want the feedback in? As far as them making suggestions, do you want it organized a certain way?
Yes, I would love to see if there was like a way for them to comment on like the formal qualities versus like the personal, like what do you think this means versus does it reference anything, is there any sort of art history involved? So there's several different kind of categories that I'd love to kind of separate this feedback into.
Okay. All right, good. So when's a good time for you to come and maybe watch me model that with my classroom? I can do it tomorrow, which would be Friday, or I can do Monday.
Friday sounds great.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll get together and come in the classroom. You can watch me model, and then we'll meet afterwards.
Okay,
thanks.
Good.
Okay, guys. So I'm explaining to them really how to use this with students collaborating back and forth ultimately. and people being able, or you're actually as a class being able to critique, like if you were critiquing a certain piece of artwork, for instance, or even if you were critiquing, in your case, say you're critiquing a presentation, okay, because you all do presentations in front of each other. If you're critiquing a presentation, and maybe you're critiquing those in 4 different categories, like if you were critiquing appearance, if you were critiquing content, if you were critiquing accuracy, those type things. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Okay, so if you had a tool like this, as you were critiquing each other, like in front of you, if you had your Chromebooks, and as each person came up and was doing the presentation, you could type notes and stuff right here. That way, you as a presenter could go back later and reflect on that and make the necessary changes. Does that make sense? Okay. So for this particular thing, this is just giving y'all an opportunity to use it, play around with it, get comfortable with it, just so you can see how it works. Is everybody good? So on this, I pretty much just said, it's the weekend, it is TGIF, thank goodness. What are your plans? And guys, you can put whatever you want to on here, it makes no difference, but it is collaborative. You'll be able to see what each other's saying. So you can insert pictures, you can play around with drawing, whatever. Take this opportunity to just play with it, okay? Oh no. All right, you just finished watching the audition and you're going to critique it using the Jamboard that I've created. Can y'all see how this might be beneficial if literally someone was giving you feedback on something? You could have all your stuff in one place. Anybody have any feedback on that? Do y'all think it could be useful? It could be what, Alton? What'd you say?
It could be bigger, have more space.
Have more, okay. What might be some recommendations for that? Would you do 1 page for each of the criteria maybe? Huh?
Yeah.
You could do that. Any other feedback or suggestions, guys, on this? Another thing with this is if you were doing a presentation for me and I gave you the opportunity, all of your classmates were giving you feedback, and I gave you the opportunity to go back and make these changes and adjust it for a better grade, would that be beneficial? Yay, nay? Because I could send you this. I could send you this feedback in a form. Thanks for meeting with me again. You saw the implementation of the Jamboard in my class, just seeing how it worked, a fun intro, and then try to make it a little bit, applicable to an art class.
It is so applicable. I love that you can, I love that it's easy to use, and it's quick. And so it's not something that I'm going to have to worry about them getting, like, it's too messy in the art room. It's something that I think that they would be able to easily do. I love that you can separate it, that they have different categories. That fits in exactly what I needed. And it's a great tool that they can just come back to as they continue to develop their artwork. They have all of these ideas that I've collected.
Yeah.
So,
okay, good.
It's great.
Good. And too, I didn't mention, because I had already set up those categories or whatever, but you can actually personalize, and I'll help you when you're planning to integrate it in your classroom, but you can set and do any type of categories and set it as a background. So you can personalize it over and over and over. So it's pretty good.
That's awesome.
All right. So when do you want to get together to implement it in your room?
I would love to do it as soon as you're available.
Okay. So how about maybe one day next week?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. I'll be in touch.
Awesome.
Thanks.